Road's quick. Cool. What are the engines on here?
You've got two Scanias on here.
Scanias? Scanias? V8? V8?
I believe they are.
Yeah,
Going clear. Yeah.
Good job.
For those of you that have just joined us here at the dockyard, welcome aboard the Harry. If you can, face the Warrior, the big black ship here with a three mast, that is our starboard side. For the first half of the harbour tour, everything you're going to look at and talk about is over that side. Warrior was the first of our iron-hulled warships. Built in 1859 on the River Lee, commissioned in 1860. It was built on an 18-inch thick Burma teak frame, but after they bombed the big iron plates onto it. The ship was steam-powered as well as sail. In its day considered so formidable, nobody dare go anywhere near it. It never even got to fire a shot in anger. It was the pride of Queen Victoria's fleet. It was head of the Red Fleet, back in the day when Britain had three fleets. The red, the white and the blue. And the Warrior was built by a company called the Thames Iron Works. They had their own little football team. Over the years it becomes West Ham. This is why their nickname is the Hammers or the Irons, because of the Thames Iron Works. Now remember guys, if you can, keep facing the Warrior. That's our starboard side, right hand side. And for the first half of the tour, everything is over the starboard side there. Okay, into the front of the boat, comes round the port, straight in front of us, the corner here of South Railway Jetty. So the start of HMS Nelson. About 3.5 operated by the Royal Navy. This big red brick building with the stone tower is Semaphore Tower, home to the King's Harbour Masters, who we call KHM for short. They have total control of every vessel's movement in and around the port, from the smallest workboats all the way up to the largest of the cross-channel ferries. Now they're always watching with radar and CCTV, and they have the Ministry of Defence police launchers in patrol 24 hours a day. Now right opposite me here on that jetty back in April of 1956, tied up side by side with 3 big Russian warships. On board one of them was President Khrushchev. This is the last time a very famous diver, Commander Buster Crabbe, was seen alive. Acting against the wishes of the then Prime Minister, MI6 ordered the diver to dive under the Russian ships to examine the rudders and propellers. He is never seen again. We accuse the Russians of foul play. They just accuse us of spying, but they always deny right up to this day any involvement in his disappearance. Now this is Victory Jetty, and there's HMS Victory. Now just in case you don't know why the Victory is looking like she does, she's about 14 years into a 20-year-long restoration project. Now they've pretty much finished the inside. Over the next 4 years, the intention is to take off every piece of timber from the outside of that ship right back to its main frame, replacing it as they go with new oak. It's a total restoration for the group. If you look over to the right at the gap, there's a grey bridge going over the top. There's a gateway there. Now if you were to go through that gateway and make your way back, you get to #1 dry dock, the oldest dry dock anywhere in the world. We're just coming up to the aircraft carrier Prince of Wales. Now she's not long come back only last Wednesday, from a month-long NATO exercise. That's why they're putting the marquee up. They need to reseal the runway. Because she's been on the exercise, the aircraft have been hammering that runway with the jet wash from their engines. So while she's sitting here, they will quickly reseal it. Now it must be done in near perfect conditions, so underneath the marquee. At 65,000 tons, QEC Queen Elizabeth class carriers are the largest carriers. 284 metres long, 39 metres wide at the waterline, 73 metres wide on the top deck. A full quota of aircraft, 36, but they can easily manage up to 70. Most of the aircraft are F-35B, Lightning II, multi-role fighters. The rest, all the different types of helicopters. Crew complement, 679 people. There's purpose-built accommodation for up to 250 Marines. When you add the pilots, the air crew and the technicians, now we're looking at 1,600 people on board. Reaching speeds of 30 knots, the operational range is 10,000 miles. She costs £3.2 billion to build. Now the tide's coming back in, folks, but this week the tides aren't very big. They don't go out very far, so they don't need to come back in very far. Portsmouth Harbour naturally was really shallow, and in the olden days you couldn't bring ships in here, because when you got here to the north corner, the harbour ended, because every time the tide went out, all of this bottom end of the harbour would totally dry away, leaving miles of road in the channel. All the water that I'm going to drive you through now, they have to dig it out by hand. floor with bricks. They let the water flow back in, so you can keep it high tide back there no matter what's going on. The little painted ship over to the right is Warship Tyne, named after the River Tyne. There are two more identical, the Mersey and the Severn. They're all rivers because they are batch 1 river class patrol vessels. They used to be fisheries protection. Last year, the Royal Navy handed over fisheries protection duties to a civilian navy. So these ships have been painted like that, so you can recognise them straight away as being offshore patrol vessels. We're coming up to Warship Duncan, Destroyer 37. We have 6 of these destroyers. Duncan here was the 6th one to be built. 152.4 metres long, weighing 7,350 tonnes. The crew complement 190. There's purpose-built accommodation for an extra 100 people, as generally they do take detachments of Royal Marines. Now, 5 of the destroyers are in port. The only one missing is HMS Diamond, who's currently out in the Red Sea. And she's been having a fantastic success. I think up till now, Diamond has shot down 214 drones using that missile tracking system. They're being shot at the shipping trying to pass through the Straits of Hormuz. The radar, the multifunctional Samson radar, can track in minute detail over 2,000 objects at once, down to the size of a cricket ball, all of which can be flying around at different heights, speeds and directions, up to Mach 3. It tracks them in a 3D picture from wave height to the edge of space. It's the Sea Viper missile system. Now folks, 5 of the ships are here being refit. Now this one, Dragon, coming up now, she's been 2.5 years up till now. It's 2.5 years per ship. They're having new engines, new generators. We're talking of generators. Look at the side of the ship. Can you see a big square, like a rusty square, behind that silver colour? Now they had to cut the whole side of the ship open to slide the old generators out, get the new ones in, and then weld the ship back up. This is a major upgrade for all 6 of the ships. It's taking 3.5 years per ship. But when they hand them back, literally, they'll be better than you. Any moment now, look over the back after the flight deck of the Dragon, you'll see Dauntless. She went in there 5 months ago, so she's got another 3 years. And on the right, the Daring, she's been here 3.5 years, they finished her. So I think that's the 3rd one that will be finished. Now at last, folks, for about 4 months we haven't had a frigate in the port, and in comes the Iron Duke. She's a Duke class Type 23, a submarine hunter. They started building 16 of them back in the mid-80s up till the mid-90s, but we sold 3 very quickly to Chile. We're down to 11 now. Now they don't spend their whole life searching for submarines. These guys have been involved in every theatre of operation you can throw at them. They've had great success at anti-piracy patrols around the world, same level of success looking for the drug runners. Now here's the guard on the back of the ship. Is he going to give you a wave? You're always going to wave off the guard. There you go, you're always. They're stuck on duty on bank holiday. Now there's the 30-acre lagoon of water that the 5 dry docks lead into. So remember, all of that was being dug away by hand by hundreds of Napoleonic work parties. Thousands of guys were stretched through here digging this out. Those massive sheds that say HM Naval Base Portsmouth were the home of VAE Systems. We don't build the ships here now. We've got the contract for all the Wave Knight here, was a wave-class fast fleet tanker, a replenishment at sea ship. So you would rendezvous with her out at sea, and she would fill you up with fuel. If you needed any more food, water, ammunition, or spare parts, it was all on board here. Now, she wasn't big enough to take care of the aircraft carriers. This is being done by 4 much bigger, much newer, Titan-class tankers. So this woman is taking out service commission, not more. She's up for sale. No, she will sit there for about 5 years. If, over that 5 years, she isn't sold, they then issue notice for disposal, and the ship gets sold to the scrapyard in Turkey and torn apart to the metal. The round stone tower we are approaching was built by some of the notorious guys digging out this end of the harbour. We got them to build it for us, so our guards could stand on top and try to keep some sort of watch over them. They really were scattered like ants everywhere. The tower is the end of the Royal Naval Quay, and we are now about to look straight into the commercial port of Portico. Now, Portico down here are the second biggest importer of fruit and vegetables in the UK, second only to Dover. And in particular, they bring up to 70% of the UK's bananas here. Now guys, do you remember we passed 2 red tugboats when we came down on the harbour tour? They are just going out to meet, I think it's the Colombian Star. It's either Colombian Star or Costa Rica, but they're both banana boats, which are coming down here to Flathouse Quay. We are the second busiest ferry port. Now the Commodore Goodwill here, along with her sister ship the Commodore Clipper and her sister ship Condor Islander, they're identical. These 3 look after the Channel Island. Now the Mont Saint Michel is the lunchtime Brittany ferry today, which came in Portsmouth 2.5 hours across. Now later on, these Brittany ferries come from Cherbourg, Le Havre, Saint Malo, Normandy. We have a big ship from Bilbao. We also have a big ship from Santander as well. Coming into view then, look at the rusty old destroyer. That was HMS Bristol. Now it's been sold to the scrapyard in Turkey. Launched in 1969, it was the only Bristol class Type 82 destroyer ever built. Look how many funnels it has. 3. It had prototype Olympus gas turbines inside. Hong Kong guard ship for a little while, escort destroyer to the carriers during the Falklands War. The years it sat over here on Whale Island, being used by thousands of cadets as a training and an accommodation ship. Now these cadets have all passed through that big grey building, HMS Excellent, home to the Second Sea Lord, headquarters to the Royal Navy. All of the land you're looking at over there is an island. It's really big, it's called Whale Island. If you remember, all this side of the harbour, the lagoon and the dry docks was all dug out by hand by prisoners. This island is the mud and dirt, carted across here and dumped, and over the years it builds all of that island. It takes years. Please look at the barge with the big orange crane on it here. And next to it is a tugboat called the Helen, with a big red funnel on the back. Now when you are at the front of the tugboat, follow the sea level straight back to the shore to the massive castle sat there. Look at that, Portchester Castle. It was a Roman Here's later being used by Saxons. When the Normans find it, it's in a bit of a state, so they repair it, add on to it, build the buildings within it, turning the old Roman fort into that castle. 285 is documented there. This is when Portsmouth Harbour had become a naval base for Roman ships defending the port first. If you look at the red, look at the bottom of the red post, you've got about what, a foot of a dirty black stain. The sea level is rising up as the tide's coming in. Now when the sea touches the clean red paint above that black mark, we're at high tide. Now, as I've already said, this week the tides are tiny. But let me show you something. If you look ahead of us, we're coming up to a black and yellow post. Look to the right and look at the different colour of water. 2 harbour tours ago, all of this end was dry. Mud banks and sand. Now, last week when the tide was big, every time the tide went out, the entire centre out there, 16 miles right away. This is still the original depth of Portsmouth. Remember, in the old days, you couldn't bring ships in here, because this is how deep it was, and they would all run aground. Have you spotted the 2 old frigates over there, Monmouth and Montrose? Now, Monmouth came back 2 years ago, Montrose came back last year, and they were taken out of service, decommissioned, stripped of everything and anything that could be used elsewhere. They've both been sold to the scrapyard in Turkey. Anybody like to hazard a guess how much one frigate is worth, scrap value? £700,000. The set of grey cranes here is known as UHAF or UHAF, which is Upper Harbour Ammunition Facility. This is where they take warships to load or unload missile, torpedo, ammunition, safely on off the ships over here, where it interferes with everybody else in port. Officially known as Burrow Island, unofficially we call this Rat Island. For a short time, that's where they were dumping the bodies of prisoners who had died digging out the harbour into a pit oblivion, until it was totally overrun with like rats eating corpses. The local people were terrified. During the Second World War, hidden in amongst the bushes over here, were homemade pigeon locks. Some of these little pigeons brought messages back over the channel from